attention needs to be drawn to the fact that most of the professional creationists out there are outright lying to you. I used to be a young earth creationist. I taught it in church and to youth groups. You may be surprised to find out that one of the major factors in my leaving this particular belief system was the creationist leaders themselves. In this video, I would like to outline some of the lies, dishonest tactics, incompetence, and inexcusable ignorance of those who had set themselves up as leaders, who had cast aspersions on genuine knowledge.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
What have you understood that Darwin taught?
Well, Darwin was a very bitter man who went into the ministry, fell away, never knew the Lord, and lost his daughter at the age of 12. She was 12, and became very bitter at God, and then denied his faith, and then came up with this fairy tale for grown-ups.
Watching hours and hours of videos of these people talking has been my own personal hell for days now. It has been so difficult, I can't even begin to... Anyway, okay, Ray Comfort. Firstly, Darwin was not a very bitter man. He was a loving husband and father. He cared very much about the fact that his wife was a believer, and he didn't want to cause her any grief. He held back publishing The Origin of Species because he feared the social pressure. He likened it to confessing to a murder. That's the same kind of thing that I felt when deconverting from my faith. By all accounts, he was conflicted and lost his faith gradually and reluctantly. This was due to a study of the facts of nature and not due to some falling away. Who is Ray Comfort to say that Darwin never knew the Lord? Darwin was a committed Christian. He believed in God and creation. He supported Paley's arguments. Ray just made that up. This is typical of the religious fundamentalist who labors under the delusion of absolute knowledge. Not only does he just know what's true and false, he can extend that to knowledge of any given person's inner struggles. It is called self-projection as God. That is the engine that drove the Dark Ages. It's people who thought like Ray that burned witches. They just know that the woman is a witch, and God's law says that we shouldn't allow them to live. And who talks more about God's law in the Old Testament than Ray Comfort? Darwin became bitter after his daughter's death and made up evolution as a story to get back at God? Well, that's a bold-faced lie. Who knows what toll the death of his daughter took on him? Most likely a heavy one. But it had nothing to do with the theory of evolution by natural selection. Darwin was made fun of for his religious views while aboard the Beagle. He studied the natural world and came to these conclusions years before the death of his daughter. Furthermore, he didn't even publish until many years after she died, when he found out that Alfred Russel Wallace was about to publish similar findings. Furthermore, he didn't lose his faith at once. He says that it was very gradual over the course of many years, and he didn't hold up evolution as a substitute for belief in God. Ray Comfort is the one who sounds bitter. He's making all kinds of things up for the sole purpose of slander. The damage happens when pastors and preachers hear these things, tell their congregations, and whole swaths of creationists then mistakenly hold these statements to be true. Ray didn't mention any of the real reasons why Darwin was convinced of evolution. He didn't mention natural selection. He didn't mention all the animal species that Darwin examined and collected. He didn't mention the mountains of evidence that had been gathered since. He is supporting the false belief that there is no evidence for evolution. But is he just ignorant? Does Ray Comfort just know nothing about Darwin and evolution? Well, yes and no. Ray led a campaign to hand out anniversary editions of The Origin of Species on college campuses, and the 40-plus page introduction that he included with the book said all these things: that by 1838 Darwin's theories were largely formed, that he didn't publish because of some vendetta against God, but due to finding out that he was about to be scooped, and the encouragement of his friends. Even a clear timeline of his life was included, showing that he formed these theories based on evidence and study, and that it had nothing to do with his daughter's death. That he truly believed in God and the Bible, nothing to indicate his faith was anything but genuine. And all of this introduction was written by Ray Comfort. Maybe Ray knows better now, but that doesn't excuse that level of ignorance in someone who is considered an expert. He made up all kinds of nonsense and pretended to be informed. He pulled the wool over the eyes of many who would look no further into the facts.